Coming into the NFC Championship game, the NFL universe was ready to crown a new king. They got behind the idea that a scrappy team with a rookie quarterback that was supposedly already the best in the NFC was going to take the reins of the conference. But the Eagles had to remind them.
Hurts under center on first down. He pitches it out to Barkley. Takes off to the outside. He's at the 50. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 15, 10, 5. Touchdown! Saquon Barkley, 60 yards on his opening touch.
They had to remind everyone that they are the most complete team in the NFL. They're the team with the 2,000-yard rusher. Jalen Hurts has actually been more efficient than Jaden Daniels in terms of yards per attempt, touchdown to interception ratio, and passer rating. But with the second best point differential and the best running back in the league, they didn't have to light the world up passing. They had to remind everyone that the Commanders were 10th in point differential with the 4th place schedule, that they needed a Hail Mary to beat the 5-win Chicago Bears, that they lost to Cooper Rush once, and that Jaden Daniels was losing to Trey Lance before Marcus Mariota came in and bailed them out. It was the Commanders that needed a game-winning touchdown drive and uncharacteristic drop from Devontae Smith to beat Kenny Pickett in Week 16. It was the Commanders that beat the New York Giants by a combined 8 points this season. The Eagles dominated the Commanders in all 3 phases of the game and set a playoff record for points scored in a conference championship game, but today's focus is going to be on the offense. After coming off 2 subpar performances in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs, Jalen Hurts silenced a lot of doubters. He had an efficient day, going 20 for 28 passing with 246 yards, 1 touchdown, and 3 more rushing. He had a very good performance for the most part, as there were several reps of decisive on-time throws. For example, we saw Jalen Hurts play on time on this spot route to Dallas Goedert for a key, gotta have it, 3rd down conversion. When Hurts plays in rhythm and throws on time like this, it's a hard offense to stop. Not every route is going to be wide open in the NFL. You have to be able to play quick and accurate, and Jalen did a good job of that on this play. Jalen was also decisive and accurate, throwing an out route to AJ for a touchdown on the goal line. Again, is AJ wide open? No, but this is NFL open, especially when you trust yourself to throw to the leverage and allow your superstar to go make a play. The Eagles did a good job getting easy, quick throws for Hurts, as we saw several different screens and RPOs. The slide RPO that was prevalent in 2002 and 2023 also made an appearance. They used rollouts to get easy throws to AJ on hitch routes in the flat. I liked how they paired this with the GT counter action from the offensive line. The second level defenders have to match their run fits with the pulling offensive line, and that gave AJ even more space to work after the catch. I really like this variation of their flat RPO. This is a staple concept the Eagles have run for several years. But instead of just having Goedert run to the flat, they had Devontae motion across the formation before running up the field. If we look back to previous games from the Commanders, when in cover 3, whether they're blitzing or not, they have the flat defender match that motion player on anything vertical. We saw this against the Lions last week, and we saw the Commanders do a similar thing on an orbit motion in Week 11. So the Eagles took advantage of the Commanders' rules and used Devontae on the motion to widen the flat defender and give Goedert a whole lot of space to work underneath. But on a previous play against the Falcons, we see Bobby Wagner work towards the trip side when he sees this motion. The Eagles pair this concept with an RPO to put him in conflict and force him to make a decision. We'll come back to this concept later. We also saw variations of the quarterback run game. We saw a quarterback counter bash, but a bad block on the kickout ruined the play. And we also saw a couple plays of quarterback draw, and they had 2 touchdowns, but one was called back for a holding penalty. With the RPO, screen, and quarterback run usage, this game very much had the feel of the 2022-2023 offense mixed in with some Kellen Moore concepts. Hurts isn't a prolific quick game quarterback. The Eagles would be well suited in the Super Bowl, and with whoever is coordinator next year, to get back to their higher rate of RPOs and screens to substitute for quick game. About 17% of the Eagles' pass attempts this season were from RPOs, whereas that was about 25% in 2022. The Eagles ran screens on 13% of pass attempts in 2022 compared to 7% this season. Now, there's carryover from screens on RPOs, but the Eagles called non-RPO screens on about 10% of pass attempts in 2022 compared to 3% in 2024, according to Sports Info Solutions. Now, Jalen Hurts had a few bad reps, and no one's going to play perfect the entire game. He missed a couple plays not taking throws to Devontae and AJ one-on-one, especially on a deep out to Devontae where he had Devontae open on the same exact play he took earlier in the game. He also had AJ one-on-one with Marshawn Lattimore on a go route that he didn't throw. And while AJ isn't wide open, he excels in these contested catch situations. We've seen Jalen take this throw to AJ in the past. I'm not too sure why the hesitation here. There were several reps of him not climbing the pocket when plays broke down. By gaining depth and running backwards to try to create, he invites huge losses on sacks and makes scramble drills much harder. But overall, it was a very good day from Hurts. Moving on to some other players, AJ Brown finally had an AJ Brown type day in the playoffs, with 6 receptions for 96 yards and a touchdown. In the Week 16 matchup, the Commanders had Marshawn Lattimore travel with AJ for much of the game. It didn't work out too well for them, but they didn't do that in this game. The Eagles continually put AJ against rookie Mike Sainristil, and he took the young kid to school. However, AJ had a major 4th down conversion against Marshawn Lattimore on the Commanders' 45-yard line while they were up 2 with just over 2 minutes left in the second half. AJ did a great job winning off the line of scrimmage, keeping himself between the defender and ball and flashing late hands to secure the sideline catch. The Eagles ended up scoring on the drive and was a huge moment and busting the game wide open, especially with the Commanders fumbling the ensuing kickoff. Marshawn was getting turned around at other points by Devontae Smith as well, and he generally wasn't good in this game. The Commanders made a big move for Lattimore at the deadline that didn't really pan out, but we cannot talk about an Eagles game without talking about Saquon Barkley and this rushing attack. Saquon had 118 rushing yards on 15 carries, to go along with 3 touchdowns. Will Shipley had 77 yards and a touchdown, and the Eagles had 7 rushing touchdowns overall, which is a record in the playoffs and the Super Bowl era. Looking back at Saquon's first touchdown, the Eagles came out in a bunch formation, recognized they had man coverage, motioned Devontae across the field to remove the corner, and then ran a crack toss back the opposite way. The Eagles have hardly used that play this season, so it was a great changeup to start the day. You get good blocking across the board, with key blocks from Goddard driving the safety down the field, and Mailata knocking the nickel back and creating traffic for the pursuit to sort through. And then you get Saquon being Saquon. Not much analysis needed here, but I did like the fact that he didn't just try and outrace the defender to the sideline. Rather, he changed up his pace, which allowed him more room to create. But I do want to go back and look at the Commanders' pursuit. Does this look like championship caliber effort on the first defensive play of the game? Does this look like a team hungry for a championship or just happy to be there? Anyway, moving on to some other plays. Before the game started, I highlighted on X that I would like to see the Eagles utilize jet sweeps early in the game. Why? Well, if you go back to the Week 16 matchup, Bobby Wagner completely ignored the jet sweep and stayed in the box. The main goal of the jet motion in this offense is to move a particular defender out of the run fit, usually a linebacker, and get a nickel or safety into the run fit. The Eagles have the numbers advantage for the jet sweep here, but didn't choose to hand off. We saw Bobby Wagner do the same exact thing in the wildcard game, and the Bucs try to hand off on the jet sweep, but the exchange was botched and Wagner ends up recovering the fumble. And then in this game, we saw the Eagles run the jet sweep twice, something they've only done a handful of times this year. But that jet sweep they ran in the second quarter set up a big run in the fourth quarter by Saquon Barkley. Here, we see Wagner and the safety chase the jet sweep to open up the run to hit front side. What's even more impressive was how the offensive line handled the blitz from the Commanders. I went through and rewatched every snap of the Commanders and base personnel, and they did not run this blitz from this front with this personnel one time this season, but they ran it several times against the Eagles. And when they saw it again in the fourth quarter, the offensive line was prepared to pass off the slanting defensive lineman and blitzing linebacker with flawless execution to open up a big lane for Saquon. That's a testament to endgame coaching and adjusting to prepare the players to take advantage of a blitz look they didn't prepare for. If you ever wonder why it takes me a little bit longer to get my videos out compared to my peers, well, it's this exact reason right here. I go down these rabbit holes of rewatching an entire team's base personnel to figure out, did they even run this blitz before? And that extra 10 seconds of information that I give probably doesn't matter a whole lot in the long run, but my curiosity often gets the better of me. We also saw the Eagles use Goddard on a fly sweep twice in this game. Just another wrinkle to their run game. Moving on to another play. I talked about the RPO adjustment the Eagles ran earlier, and I talked about how using motion can bump certain players out of the run fit and put other players into it. And we saw that on the Devontae Smith motion on the flat RPO. The motion now brings a nickel into the run fit at the key point of attack for this run play. And with Bobby Wagner seeing this play for the third time now, he's hesitant to play the run. This play doesn't turn into a home run, but it gets 6 yards on 1st and goal from the 10-yard line. We also saw this touchdown from Saquon, but notice the glance route from AJ to remove the corner for Saquon to get to the edge. We saw AJ score on this exact same concept against the Steelers in Week 15, just with a little bit of a changeup in the pre-snap alignment from Devontae Smith this time. But what's key is Saquon's ability to press the line and be able to flip his hips and instantly accelerate outside. We saw that again on Saquon's 3rd touchdown of the game. It's crazy to see that from a back his size. Most 230-pound running backs are way too stiff and lack the acceleration needed to do this consistently. That blend of size, mobility, and instant acceleration proves that Saquon is just a different dude. Now, we have to talk about the Eagles' plug-and-play offensive line unit. Due to injuries, Landon Dickerson had to slide to center with Steen at guard, and they put up 27 points in the first half, with Dickerson hurt for most of the second quarter. In the second half, Jurgens steps in with a gritty performance with multiple key blocks throughout. Steen had a solid day against Jonathan Allen, who I think is a top 5 defensive tackle in the NFL. Allen had 2 pressures, but both were slow wins, and he also had a big win working back across Steen's face in the run game, but Steen definitely had his wins as well. It wasn't a perfect day for him, but ultimately, the Eagles were able to put up 55 points with Tyler Steen in the lineup in the biggest moment of his career. Now, was the offensive line perfect? No. They had some blown assignments in pass pro, including the blitz pickup and cover 0. The Eagles bring in Grant Calcaterra into the backfield for blitz pickup so they can get Barkley into the flat. Some confusion happens with Landon and Calcaterra as Landon initially steps towards Frankie Louvu before working back to Wagner. That confuses Calcaterra, and then they both end up blocking the same player. It's unfortunate because I like the play that they had called, which I'm pretty sure was designed to get Barkley in the flat one-on-one with the safety. The reason being is the release of AJ on the slant route. If AJ was supposed to get the ball on the slant right away, he likely would have taken a quicker release or been more physical throwing the corner off of him early, instead of intentionally releasing inside then stemming back up the field into the corner. The goal is to try to create traffic and force the safety to bubble over top of AJ. Listen to this explanation from current Miami Hurricanes offensive coordinator Shannon Dawson as he explains the intricacies of a similar concept.
All right, so right here, let's draw it up where the corner's up right here. This safety, maybe they're playing man where the safety's back and the corner's up. So he still inside releases here and gets his depth on the curl route. Now, because the corner's pressing, H is going to take a little bit of time, and now his arrow route's going to be a little more patient if that corner's up. If the corner's up right here, it changes our reads to 1 to 2. So now the H is the read. We're trying to create a natural wall right here for the deeper man cover guy to go over, and we're trying to get H the ball right here.
The corner goes over the wall that AJ is creating, giving the Eagles space to get Barkley into the flat with an opportunity to beat a man one-on-one with nobody behind him. There was also another play where Dickerson struggled covering space, getting out of his stance due to his injury, which forced Hurts out of the pocket. Now, I think Hurts was going to scramble anyway, as the Commanders were in cover 0, and the unblocked rusher was coming from his left, with the Eagles trying to get the ball to Devontae on a corner route against man coverage to his right. But the interior pressure probably made the job just a little bit harder, but still, we see great location from Hurts throwing on the run, and they ultimately get a defensive pass interference against Marshawn Lattimore. Mailata also had an uncharacteristic loss on a sack, but on a day where they had to shuffle guys all around the offensive line, it's the depth of the offensive line under the tutelage of Jeff Stoutland that has continued to be a driving force and the Eagles' continued runs to the Super Bowl. And in regards to the Eagles making it to their 3rd Super Bowl in the past 8 years,
well, it's kind of expected, I think.
Oh, okay, good.
You know
Expected.
what? Yeah.